Hello friends, I hope you are well. Today we're talking about the Era 100, the latest smart home speaker for your coffee table, shelf, office, bedroom, living room, and or kitchen from Sonos. And honestly, thanks to some clever engineering, you can put this speaker anywhere and it'll sound great, as if it was tuned exactly for this spot it's sitting on, and well, it does get tuned. So how does it all work? Well, like this video and find out. Actually, you gotta watch it. But big thanks to Sonos for sending me this speaker for review. Let's get started by rolling the intro. Sonos, a well-known premium sound brand we all know, and we know its price tag is generally quite high. Can they do no wrong? Well, the Sonos Era 100 is replacing their global bestseller, the Sonos One, both Gen 1 and 2, slight upgrades in between. So can the Era 100 stand above its predecessors and become the new baseline? Well, hopefully we can answer that question today. Let's get started with the basics. The Era 100 has stereo sound, a bigger woofer than the Sonos One, and the obviously new design. Bluetooth finally, and weirdly a USB-C line-in port. More on that a little bit later. It looks more modern, it's sleeker, it's now more of a lifestyle piece than before. Comes in black and white, has sustainable packaging and build practices like using more screws than glue. But don't get too excited, I doubt it is in any way, shape or form user serviceable. On the top we have the touch capacitive controls, a microphone on and off button, and a previous track and the next track, pause and play. And my favorite is actually the volume rocker, being a long indented channel that you can run your finger across and get accurate volume levels. Now, when swiping quickly from 0, or the start of the left hand side, to the end, it gets you 30% volume. When you slowly slide your finger across to, let's say, halfway, you get 50% and then 100% at the end. A very little clever feature. Then something you don't generally think about when you buy electronics, let alone smart home speakers, and that's the power usage. Now, unlike a non-smart speaker, this is always on, and I think Sonos has thought about that quite a lot, and I think this will put a smile on your face. With the cost of power skyrocketing around Australia, I thought it would be worth testing the speaker with a smart plug. Now, the Sonos Era 100 draws roughly 3.5 watts per hour when playing music at around 60% level of volume. Now, when it is idle, it's 1.8 watts, and so as you can imagine, most of the time the speaker will be idle, so it's that 1.8. So on idle, it works to be around $3.87 per year based on 26 cents per kilowatt hour here in Western Australia. That's not bad. So smiles all around. Now let's talk about connections. This is the first speaker I have tested with Wi-Fi 6. That's right. Here we go, folks. Wi-Fi 6 is coming to your home whether you care or you don't. You really won't notice that it's Wi-Fi 6. But what Wi-Fi 6 has brought to the table is, well, fast and stable connectivity and efficiency on the power side. Wi-Fi 6's draw card is all about allowing devices to sit in standby to conserve energy and then still be connected to the Wi-Fi. Then the Era 100 offers plenty of music services: AirPlay 2, Apple Music, Spotify, Audible, Tidal, Sonos Radio, YouTube Music, Spotify, and Bluetooth, plus many more apps such as iHeartRadio, which I keep hearing on about in the radio. One thing to note, the Bluetooth module is only version 5.0, which is not the newest iteration, but it seems to be good enough. I saw no issues with connectivity or sound quality. However, if you use the speaker for surround sound with other Sonos speakers, Bluetooth will be deactivated. I guess there's not enough bandwidth to use all of it at once. On the assistant side, they have their own Sonos voice control. It's okay. Then there's Amazon Alexa support, which is much better, and I was hoping that the Google Assistant would be there too, as it's available on the Sonos TV speakers Beam products, but for some reason it's not available on this product. It's quite actually disappointing. Maybe a software update later can sort this out, so here's hoping. Now, from what I can see, the Sonos takes performance of their speakers very personally. The problem is tuning, since everyone's home is not a sterile sound testing chamber containing different soundscapes and materials and physical obstacles for good sound. Now, Sonos has a solution to this problem, a solution that unfortunately Android users have had to miss out in the past, but not anymore. with a slight caveat. Like with other Sonos products, TruePlay makes a return here, allowing you to tune the speaker performance to the room and its location using your Apple phone's microphones. Now, what's new in the Era 100 is that Sonos has added a quick tuning option where you don't need an Apple phone. So why should non-Apple users still be disappointed? Well, from my testing with the advanced tuning, turning it on and off, you can tell the difference. It sounds a lot better, a lot fuller. However, with basic tuning, I could not tell whether it was on or off. The reason for this, I would imagine, is that the quick tuning process uses the microphone in the speaker to tune the space and location, rather than the Apple device that gets flung around the space to get the exact readings at a distance, and of course scans for, I guess, objects in a sound-about way. Now, unfortunately, having the microphone right next to the ping emitter does not work as well as walking around with your Apple phone and waving it like a maniac. Now, the reality is I just couldn't tell, and I'm kind of disappointed. So advanced tuning does a great job to fill the room with sound. It's what makes Sonos that step above the competition, as long as you have an Apple device. But what is it and how does it actually work? Well, Sonos TruePlay is designed to allow you to put a Sonos speaker wherever you want, and you could place the Sonos Era speaker behind your TV, in the corner of the room, in the middle of the room, and the idea is that it shouldn't matter, obviously within reason, in terms of the sound output. Now, the TruePlay software will analyze all the acoustic factors that might impact a speaker's sound quality, such as room size, layout, decor, speaker placement. It will then adjust how each tweeter and woofer produces sound to make sure the speaker sounds as good as possible wherever it is. Now, for standard TruePlay tuning, the Sonos app will prompt you to start tuning, and after following the steps, it will eventually emit a series of these test sounds. These sounds are made up of three properties: brown noise, pulse sounds that allow echoes, and a sweep of all frequencies. Now, the microphone in your iOS device detects how these sounds react to the room you are in by measuring how the sound waves reflect off the walls, furnishings, glass, and other surfaces. This information is then used to create an acoustic profile for your room by recording how loud various frequencies sound as you move around. Then, a combination of equalizer and filtering techniques are created by the TruePlay software to correct these frequencies, so music sounds the way the artists intended. I would say that I don't know what the artist intended. It does sound great. Okay, so let's talk about what it sounds like. I use the speaker in my office to listen to Lo-Fi Girl on YouTube Music, of course. If you haven't heard this before, check out the live streams on the Lo-Fi Girl channel. Then I cycled through some rock, pop, tech, and some radio hits. I don't know, I played whatever I wanted. Then when I really wanted to test it out properly, I decided to jump into what I know best. So I based my opinions on the latest Tool album, Fear Inoculum, then A Perfect Circle, and topped it off with some Rufus Du Sol, just in case you would like to recreate the mood I was in as I wrote this review. The Sonos Era 100 has a much larger woofer than the previous version, meaning the bass performance is very impressive for its size. It has two angled tweeters and a 3 Class D amplifier, making it a loud but clear little speaker that fills the room. Now, I say little when compared to the Google Max, for example, but what does that mean to the layperson? It makes it for a very wide soundstage with plenty of lows, mids, and highs that are clear and concise and all around you rather than coming from a single direction, and there's no peaking or damaged sound, as they call it, right at the top. Like I said before, the Era 100 can fill the room with very clear and powerful sounds, and that's really where the tuning comes in, so make sure you tune your Sonos speaker, otherwise you might not be getting the best experience for the speaker, let alone what the artist intended. Now let's have a listen to some test sounds. I've used the Elgato mic to capture the music, but remember, what you hear via this video is not what I hear. Bit of compression, and obviously the mic is not as good as your ears, but I thought it would be worth including this.
I'm changing who I am. I'm making a new plan, rearranging my life, and I won't look back ever again. Yeah, you ain't see me activated. You better hope that you never see me agitated. I think about my actions, plan them out, evaluated. That's how I end up on the top, man, I'm calculated. My mind's a weapon, my body is the engine. I'm never second guessing. guessing. I just do what I was destined, cause I feel I got the blessing. Persistence and obsession, that's how you keep progressing. I already learned that lesson, yeah. I'm changing who I am.
Now, Tool's album was my personal highlight. I felt the music was much sharper, maybe even clearer at some bits. Those guys kind of mumble sometimes, but I wasn't sure if that was because I was actively listening to it or it was due to me listening to said album on my AirPods the other night and then going, holy crap, this is so much clearer. And I cannot overemphasize how clear the vocals are via the Era 100. Really, really impressive, which made audiobooks a pleasure to listen to. In fact, I will be listening to the next Red Rising Saga book, Lightbringer by Pierce Brown, in July, as the previous book that I played on this sounded so good. Then I moved the speaker to my living room and redid the advanced TruePlay tuning, as I wanted to find out how the speaker deals with a much larger room, and actually I was pleasantly surprised how well it did. It's not a big speaker, and so the placement of the Era that I put it in was very favorable to the room. It performed very well. The soundstage was fairly full, and while there were certain corners of the room that if you stood in it's slightly off, like it wasn't quite right, the fullness of the music was still great in the areas where you'd be sitting around or walking past, and it was perfectly adequate. The speaker lives up to its premium ancestors. Now, let's talk about the Smart Assistant. The microphone pickup is great even when there is loud music playing, much better than any Google speaker I've used in the past. The Sonos Assistant does the basic request, pause, play next. And while Alexa is great, it's just not what I use, and Google Assistant, which is already across my whole house, it has lots of automations connected to it. I really miss not having it on here. I'd want to make this my daily driver, but I still kind of feel like I have to go in the kitchen and get Google to turn on lights or close the garage and so on. So I use the Sonos to just play music for now. Now, that USB-C port on the back, at first I was impressed. Oh great, a USB-C port. How very futuristic. Only to realize there is no adapter for the 3.5mm jack in the box. It turns out there are additional adapters to purchase to utilize this line-in USB-C port. So you're not going to be connecting this to your iPod to relive your high school heyday. Now, smash a like if you still have your old iPod Classic. And according to the World Wide Web, only Sonos branded adapters will work, so don't bother ordering a generic one from Amazon or eBay. I get why USB-C can achieve more, but at least throw me an adapter as a bonus because, well, the price tag says you can, Sonos, come on. And so let's talk price tag. 399 Australian dollaroos. It's not cheap. In fact, it's expensive, right? It's a lot of dollars. It's got the Sonos margin, it's got the Sonos ecosystem tax, and it's got the premium look and feel tax, and then of course your standard tax, but you knew that, right? And I think coming into this, if you're looking at a review of a Sonos, you've already either bought it and just want to make sure it's good, or you're just planning to add another one, and then why would you be watching this? I think you just go out and buy it. Maybe you want to know if it works with all the other stuff from Sonos. It does. I think from my experience so far, it has the performance to back itself. So yes, it sounds fantastic, and it should do at this price point. There is just nothing quite like the Sonos speaker, and the Era 100 will become a global hit. I don't doubt it. It's cheaper than the other Sonos ones, it's kind of like almost the best little entry one that sounds the best in any size room, from large to small, but I would say small to medium. I had a plan to compare this to the Google Home Max, but there is just no competition there. The Sonos Era 100 sounds a lot better. It's smaller, it looks nicer, though making the only downside this weird proprietary USB-C dongle business and the lack of the Google Assistant, but that can be potentially remedied with a software update. So I can happily recommend this as a great smart home speaker, but my wallet says it should be $299, not $399. If you see it on special for $299, go for it. Friends, thank you very much for watching. Let me know your thoughts about the Era 100. And while you're down there commenting, smash the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Finally, huge thanks to Sonos for sending me this Era 100 for review. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all in another one. Bye!